Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep, literally, to uncover the incredible hidden world of one of Africa's most misunderstood giants, the hippopotamus.
So let's just start with a quick thought experiment. When I say the word hippo, what's the first image that pops into your head? Probably something big, kind of lazy, just hanging out in the water, right? Well, hold on to that image, because we are about to completely flip it on its head.
You know, most of us have this idea of a slow, clumsy, maybe even gentle giant. But the reality? It's a whole different story. We're talking about an animal that is shockingly fast, incredibly powerful and agile, and a complex super adapter that has mastered its environment.
So in this explainer, we're going to break down the hippo's superpowers. We'll look at the paradox of its name, how it's built for two different worlds, its bizarre way of moving, its social life, its secret weapons, and why there's so much more to this animal than you might think.
First up, the river horse paradox. The name hippopotamus actually comes to us from ancient Greek, and it means river horse. And while the river part is spot on, the horse part, well, that's where things get really misleading.
And here's the twist. Believe it or not, hippos are not related to horses at all. Their closest living relatives are actually cetaceans. Yep, that means whales and dolphins. And that connection tells you everything about their deep, ancient relationship with the water.
So let's see how that aquatic life shaped their incredible anatomy. This is really the key to how they live these dual lives. They are true semi-aquatic specialists, just perfectly engineered for spending time on land and in the water.
And this is just brilliant design. Take a look at their head. The eyes, the ears, and the nostrils are all positioned right on the very top of their skull. It works just like a submarine's periscope. It lets them see, hear, and breathe while keeping almost their entire massive body completely hidden underwater.
And they come with some other amazing built-in gear, too. The moment they go under, special muscular valves automatically seal their nostrils and ears shut. And get this, they have a transparent third eyelid that slides across their eyes. It acts like a pair of built-in goggles, so they can see perfectly clearly underwater.
Okay, you've probably heard the myth that hippos can sweat blood. It's a pretty wild image, right? But the truth behind it is honestly even more amazing and a lot more useful for the hippo.
What people are seeing is this special reddish, oily fluid that comes from glands in their skin. So no, it's not blood, and it's not really sweat either. It's a completely unique substance that does two incredibly important jobs for their sensitive, nearly hairless skin. So check this out. This stuff is, first, a powerful natural sunscreen that protects them from the intense African sun. And second, it's a potent antibiotic. Just think about that. This is crucial for preventing infections in any cuts or scrapes they get, especially when they're living in murky, bacteria-filled water. They literally produce their own sunscreen and antiseptic cream.
Okay, this brings us to one of the biggest misconceptions about hippos, how they actually move around in the water. You'd probably guess they're great swimmers, but that's not what's happening at all.
On land, they're surprisingly athletic, using this really powerful trot. But in the water, it's a completely different game. Hippos are actually too dense to float, so they can't swim. Instead, they do this kind of graceful, slow-motion gallop, pushing off the bottom of the riverbed to move themselves forward.
And this quote just captures it perfectly. Researchers have described it as being like moving in a microgravity environment, like an astronaut walking on the moon. Their super dense bones act like a diver's weight belt, letting them just bound along the bottom with this strange, beautiful grace.
But don't let that underwater elegance fool you, because back on land, they can charge at an incredible 30 kilometers per hour. That's almost 19 miles an hour, faster than most humans can sprint. They move so fast that they can actually achieve a brief aerial phase where all 4 feet are off the ground at the same time.
Now, all that physical power is matched by a surprisingly complex social life. Hippos are not loners. They live in big groups called pods, and life inside that pod is anything but simple. So a typical pod can have up to 30 hippos, and it's all led by one dominant bull. It's his job to defend his stretch of the river, and he marks his territory by flicking his tail around while he poops. It's called dung showering. Meanwhile, the females all band together to form these protective nursery groups to keep the young calves safe.
And what about that famous hippo yawn? When you see a hippo open its mouth to an almost unbelievable 150-degree angle, it is not sleepy. Make no mistake, that is a serious threat display. It's all about showing off those massive, tusk-like canine teeth to intimidate rivals and establish who's boss.
And that display of weapons brings us to the really fascinating differences between male and female hippos. Now, you might just assume the males are bigger all around, but the real story is way more specific than that. It's all about the weaponry. Okay, just look at these numbers, because this is where it gets really wild. When it comes to overall body size, males are only about 5% heavier and 7% taller than females. Not a huge difference. But look at their weapons. A male's lower jaw is 44% more massive, and his lower canine teeth are a staggering 81% heavier than a female's.
So that begs a pretty big question, right? In a world of giants, why would they invest so heavily in bigger weapons, instead of just evolving to be bigger overall? What's going on there?
And the answer lies in the battlefield. Fights for territory and dominance almost always happen in the water. And in the water, buoyancy basically cancels out any advantage a slightly bigger body would give you. So in that arena, what really matters isn't your weight. It's the size of the tusks you can show off in that threatening yawn. It's all about the weapon.
So, let's just quickly recap the incredible, unexpected superpowers hiding inside this so-called river horse. It's pretty clear they are one of the most uniquely adapted large animals on the entire planet.
I mean, from their periscope head and their self-producing sunscreen, to their astronaut-like underwater gallop and shocking speed on land, you add in a complex social life and a focus on specialized weapons over sheer size, and what you get is a creature that is so much more sophisticated than we give it credit for.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. The hippo is just a powerful reminder that in the natural world, our first assumptions are often wrong. It really makes you wonder, what other animals that we think we know are hiding incredible abilities right out in the open?